Did you see that fly? I almost ate it. And I was in the middle of saying something really good.
Thank you, Coach Zuckert, for coming here today to do this interview with us. So this will be mainly about your experience with field hockey and the sport, and as well as coaching today. So I first want to start off by asking, how is your coaching style similar or different compared to the coaches you have had growing up?
Oh my goodness. Well, I had Coach DeMarco Havens, who is still at St. Luke's, and I had Coach Ellers, who is also still at St. Luke's. And I think I am a carbon copy of both of those women. Their coaching style absolutely influences my own. You've probably noticed on the field, I literally can't stand still in our games. I picked that up from both of those coaches who were entirely animated and invested on the sidelines of our games. And so that's something I think, that's like one little thing that I think really comes through that is one way I emulate both of them. They were such inspirations to me when I was a player here, so it's very cool to see that in my own coaching style.
Thank you. Yeah, that's great. Next, I want to ask, how's the transition been from playing to now coaching? Has there been any challenges or benefits, or has it been easier or harder than you expected?
It has been delightful. The only challenge is not jumping in to play in games with you all and helping you out on the field from my vantage point. No, but it's been very lovely, and the experience of coaching is one that continues to surprise me and make me happy, and has been such a great way to start out my first year at St. Luke's teaching.
So next I want to ask, did you play in college or was it just in high school?
I did not play in college. I got a pretty bad concussion my senior year of high school and a field hockey related accident that kept me from playing.
Okay, that's unfortunate. But I want to say, has field hockey changed in any ways from when you played in high school to now? Like the sport in general.
Well, there's some different rules for sure, but you learn those and it's not too big a deal. I don't think the game has changed too much. It's actually pretty amazing to see what we do in warm-ups and in games mimics a lot of what I did in high school. And it's kind of beautiful that way that field hockey can be a tradition as well as something we do for fun.
Next I want to ask, were there any fundamentals or lessons you learned when playing that you now have taught your players that you coach?
Where to begin, Regan? So many. I think one of the things I try to teach our team is staying in the game, keeping your chins up, and supporting each other. Field hockey is a sport that demands we are there for each other on the field and off, and I think on both the JV and varsity teams, that's something at St. Luke's we really excel at.
Yeah, that's great. I want to say, has coaching this year been different from what you expected coming in as a new coach?
A little bit, because I work with two different teams.
Oh yeah.
So it's been great to get to know a wide variety of athletes. But on the whole, it's been just really lovely to get to know all of you and to attend as many games as I have at this point and as many practices. It's been very special. And like I said earlier, a great way to start off the fall.
What is your approach to coaching now? Do you use different skills every day? Do you have a regimen that you follow in training?
Yes, I like to be very strict when we start practice.
Yeah.
I love when you line your sticks up. I love when you put your bags in a line on the side of the field. I think that discipline is really important to not only our practices, but also in our games. And discipline and respect and humility is where it starts. And those three things carry over into how we interact with each other, and that sportsmanship and respect is really vital and something I try to encourage in practice and in our games. We certainly have a routine to our practices that we're well aware of now. I think as someone from my perspective who's played multiple roles on a field hockey team, now being a coach, it gives me a great perspective on, what athletes might be feeling in different positions, especially when they're asked to do something new.
Yeah.
But that flexibility is also something we try to encourage.
Yeah. So does coaching and being a teacher at the same time like impact your daily life and schedule?
Yes, because I
Yeah.
get to see so many familiar faces in the hallways, and it makes me very, very happy.
Yeah. That's great. And also, I just wanted to ask, what influenced you to become a coach after taking a break from high school and not playing in college? So what sparked that interest?
Well, I love the sport, first of all, and St. Luke's was where I played at first. I started playing in the 5th grade, and I played all the way through my graduation. And so when I came back to St. Luke's, that was one of the first things that I wanted to do here because it was such an impact on my life being a part of the program here. I wanted to get right back into it and meet all of the athletes interested in playing field hockey and hopefully get some more athletes interested in playing field hockey. I think it's a really fun, fantastic sport, and I think other people, the more they watch it, the more they play it, also come to that conclusion. So yeah.
Thank you so much.
Of course.
All right, hi, Ms. Zuckert. Were there many new things that you had to learn when being a coach, like strategies or drills versus when you were a player?
Well, it's very easy to show up to practice as a player and do your work. As a coach, it certainly requires more foresight and mindfulness about how we want to use time. So absolutely, there's a bit of a learning curve in, utilizing our time to the best of our abilities and making sure that we're working on all the skills that we need to in the time that we have on the field, which now feels very precious, especially with the time change, because we have less daylight now. So specifically in varsity practices, we have to make the most of the time that we have, but that's been a recurring theme all season long, especially as we partner with the 7th and 8th graders on JV.
What challenges or benefits have you experienced while coaching?
The students, the athletes, that is the benefit and the challenge, and that's what's beautiful about coaching. Having the opportunity to make meaningful relationships with you, develop dialogue with you, and work on your skills is a gift. It's difficult. Sometimes, our relationship runs into some trouble if we lose a game or if we're not being totally supportive on the sidelines. But those moments lead to really meaningful discussions about what it means to be an athlete, what it means to be a respectful human, and those conversations about how we like to conduct ourselves, especially in competitive situations, I think are really fruitful and only help our relationships deepen moving forward.
If you were to have an underperforming team, how would you improve them?
Underperforming is a troublesome word to me. I think that suggests that we're not constantly working on our skills when in reality we are. So if we're not winning games, if we are winning games, it's just data, right? That's information that carries over into what we do on the field. So, if that's a matter of skill building, we'll work that into practices. If that's a matter of how we communicate with each other, we also work that into practice. How we show up for each other is what I care about. Winning games is nice. Losing games can be tricky, but I find that regardless of the outcome of our, competitions, how we show up for each other is what's important.
How do you as a coach help athletes who may be struggling at the time?
I try to make myself available to all of my athletes, literally all the time. Whether that means in the morning before school, during lunch, after school, if I can be there for you, that's what I want to do. It's been really fun to work on goalkeeping angles at 9 a.m. randomly in the school day. It's been fun to talk about defensive skills, 15 minutes after practice has ended when we're still asking those important questions. So what's really important to me is being there for each and every one of my athletes. And I think that looks different, for every athlete. And I have different relationships with each and every one of my players. But those things are really valuable to me.
Thank you. How do you like to help your players stay motivated or keeping just the group moral high?
Oh my gosh, I think this is where I excel. Like I said, I do all of the drill. I do a lot of the running and the drills with you, and I like to speak in silly accents and tell you jokes and make a fool of myself to make sure that we are laughing and that we're welcoming and celebrating mistakes, because mistakes that happen in practice are learning opportunities and opportunities for us to improve upon in gameplay. So I really try to keep practices fun. I try to keep them engaging. And when it's time to have serious discussions, I find that it's easy to enter into those. When we've gotten all of our giggles out, when we've been silly together, we can gather together on a more serious note with some gravitas and grapple with the current challenges.
Thank you. Can you see yourself coaching field hockey for a long period of time?
Yes.
I love it. What are your core values as a coach?
My core values as a coach, dedication is number one. For both myself and my athletes, I show up. I want my athletes to show up, and I want us to be really invested in what we're doing. Dedication is really important. Mutual respect for each other, for the other teams that we meet. I try to extend respect at all times to our players, and that's something that you as players are really great at doing for me as well. So that feels very important. And also fun. I want to celebrate this sport, and I think it is a fun sport. And so if we can laugh while working on our skills, while doing the serious work of competing, we're all the better for it.
So as someone who has been both in the academic and athletic side of St. Luke's, what advice do you have to give to students who are also balancing both?
I think it starts with communication. I think that's the most important thing, to manage the communication between yourself, your coach, and your teachers, right? There's always going to be moments where we are stressed out about what we're doing in school, or we're stressed out about a big game coming up. And the best way to manage those things is to be really proactive and communicative about what you're struggling with, what's challenging, and asking for help. As coaches and as teachers, we are here for you as students, and we want to facilitate a world in which you are free to participate in your after-school athletics, fully engaged and invested in not worrying about the math test or the history homework that you have to do, right? So part of that comes with practicing time management, practicing reaching out to your teachers, and being proactive in the work that you want to do.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ms. Zuckert.
But of course.